the good news on Bitcoin keeps rolling in. And if you're a Bitcoin holder, you're definitely going to want to watch this. There is some real breaking news yesterday that came out about Bitcoin. And this one has the potential, I mean, not even potential, it will be huge. And so when I look at this kind of news, and this comes out of the state of Arizona, if you don't know what I'm talking to, stay tuned because we're going to get into that. As always, every single day in crypto is an adventure, so please hit the subscribe button, like it if you find value in this content. And with that, let's get into it. We're going to talk about Bitcoin first. Before we get into the big news, we're going to just look at where Bitcoin is. And if you look at where it is, we broke out of this downward descending channel. And, we broke through that 95,000. We're kind of flirting around with that 95K again. It's having a lot of resistance there. It's bouncing off that. And, we got a little area here, and then we got a big run up to we get to the all-time high. I am looking at everything that's going on with countries looking at Bitcoin strategic reserves, companies like Strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, and others, GameStop looking to buy billions worth of Bitcoin. I'm looking at all these things going, and in the U.S. government, Paul Atkins and Scott Bessent and Trump being so pro-crypto that it's almost inevitable that we have a major, major pump incoming. And it feels like right now we're all in that holding zone, like waiting for the pump to break out. If you look at the socials, if you go on the crypto Twitter X, if you go on YouTube, everyone's saying breakout impending. That's when I get a little nervous, quite frankly. But let's get into this, and then I'll tell you why I'm a little bit nervous. But, so Bitcoin, we have this huge potential to break out, break through, break above, and all these things. And with the news that keeps pumping through, it's only literally a matter of time. Bitcoin dominance is still through the roof. We're at the highest level we've been since, the 2021, the last cycle. And it keeps going up, and it's extraordinarily high. If you think about that, we're at 63% Bitcoin dominance in a market that's seen a lot more coins. I mean, we have millions more coins, tokens than we did in 2021, and yet Bitcoin still dominates and sucks the life out of everything else. Ethereum, is down a bit. Look, I sold some of my Ethereum, I shouldn't say all. I sold some of my Ethereum because it hasn't been doing anything. And of course, people talk about these new things that are coming out in Q3, Q4. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin's what's running off. SUI, XRP, Solana, those are the ones I'm putting faith in. But, if Ethereum changes its tune and there's more potential, then I'm going to relook at that. Might I buy back in? It's very possible. And then people are going to be like, Joe, you lost money or you bought in higher. Look, that's part of the game sometimes. But right now, I'm holding strong on my Bitcoin, my XRP, Solana, a couple other coins. So here's the deal is that yesterday, we had the Arizona legislature passes a Bitcoin reserve bill, governor approval pending. So the governor still got to sign that off. Might he veto it? It's possible. But, still, this is a huge, huge impact because they have like a $31 billion budget. Is that in here? I saw, it's a $31 billion budget. Let's look at another article here. It's a $31 billion budget, and 10% of that's $3 billion. That's one state out of 50. That's not even the United States. That's one state in the United States. That's not the federal crypto reserve, Bitcoin reserve. That's just Arizona's state crypto reserve. And there's several other states that are looking at this. Texas, Florida, New Hampshire. So they're all looking at doing this. Imagine if each one of those three did something similar. Now, Arizona, Texas, and Florida and California and New York are the biggest states, really. But, Texas and Florida have a lot of purchasing power. Let's just pretend all four of those did $3 billion. Texas, Florida, New Hampshire, and Arizona. Well, that's like 3 times 4 is $12 billion of purchasing. That's a lot of Bitcoin. And, that's just going to push prices up, not to mention competing with MicroStrategy, with the U.S. federal government and other countries as well as other companies. It just will drive Bitcoin's price up, and it will continue to do so. The thing that worries me is that when sentiment is so positive and so bullish that, people tend to, it's usually when you least expect it that you get hit with a downturn. So that always, and we'll look at this. If you look at the fear and greed, People, we went from all the way down here in like the 10, 15 range to straight up to 60. I mean, people not quite in the euphoric state, not quite in the super greedy state, but we're getting there. And that does worry me a little bit because I look at the liquidation charts. It's even money. It's even money on liquidations. This is the 1 day. Let's look at the 7 day. I mean, there's a lot of shorts could get liquidated. If we push up to 96,000, I mean, there's a lot of short. You can't see that. There's a lot of shorts in here that could get liquidated if we push up to 96, 97. And it's poised to do so. There's some long liquidation possibility here too. But man, I'd rather see those shorts get taken out with the price of Bitcoin getting pushed forward than a retracement. And if you look at the actual, if we go to like a 4-hour chart, let's go to the 1-hour chart on Bitcoin. You'll see that it is really, there's higher lows being set in. Look at this. If you look at the way up, it's just a bunch of higher lows that are being set. So we're poised for a great breakout in Bitcoin. What's it going to take for that to happen? I always ask that. What's it going to take? The tariff news is kind of getting spent. The reaction to tariffs just isn't what it was a couple weeks ago when it was new. It's the excitement's fading down, and Bitcoin's doing what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin was created in opposition to government finance, things like that, printing money. And tariff narrative is really a governmental narrative. So, it's very interesting to see what happens in these next couple weeks. I do believe the tariffs are kind of fading away. People say, China, Trump bound down to China. That's not what's happening. In the background, China is easing, U.S. is easing, and talks are most likely happening. Now, it might take a while to really have those completely done, those talks. But in the meantime, we're still going to see some very interesting, I believe, breakouts in the near future. Might we have a retracement? Sure. We could test that $89,000 level again. We could bust back down, but that's just going to clear out more shorts or longs, and then to shoot up, take out the shorts and push forward probably to all-time highs. I definitely see us, and this isn't financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. Get a grip. Come on, dude. But I definitely see us hitting that. My opinion is we're going to be breaking through that all-time high this year. People are calling for $200,000 and $300,000 Bitcoin. That's very possible with the buy pressure by these states, these companies, and these countries, and these whales that are just buying up the weak hands Bitcoin. And so I look forward to seeing that happen. I would love to see a $300,000 Bitcoin this cycle. Is it possible? Sure. Is it probable? That's yet to be seen. A 3x, I mean, that put us in the multi-trillion dollars of market cap, which I think is very reasonable given the stance of Bitcoin. I mean, look, 80% of the dollars have been created in the last 5 years, I think, and only 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. And with that piece of data right there, that's the big part of what you need to know about why Bitcoin is so popular right now. And with that, that's all I got. I hope you got some value out of this short one today. And if you did, hit a comment down below. If you didn't subscribe yet, please do so and hit the like button. That's a lot of things I'm asking you to do. I know it, but I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you next time.